We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get Trish after Monday Night Raw?
What's going on, everybody? We're back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Saturday, July 5th. We're here to break down SmackDown. I'm Clark Taylor. I'm your host for today. Fire up to be here. I hope you had a happy 4th. I had a delightful 4th. Shout out Blake for throwing a sick 4th of July party. Thank you so much. I really appreciated it. Pulled pork off the charts. But I've got two sweet co-hosts here riding with me to break down SmackDown. Let me go ahead and introduce them. First and foremost, I'll send this one out to my co-host. The show sold separately across the country over in Philadelphia, right next to that Liberty Bell. Happy 4th. What's going on, Anthony? How are you?
Oh, it's always fun to do these shows. And with this crew, it should be a lot of fun. I always enjoy doing the Saturday shows with you, Clark. And let's get into it.
Absolutely. I am fired up to get into it myself. But before we do, let me introduce one more. We're going to head down to Texas this time, though, where we'll be heading next week for All In, that is. But the other side of Texas, pretty much, right? At least not right next to where we're going right now, to the always controversial but always delightful Ignacio. How are you, my friend? Happy 4th of July, belated, and happy Saturday.
Happy 4th of July, America's birthday. But unfortunately, I'm a little reluctant to talk about SmackDown because it was much like the gumbo I tried to make yesterday, a little bitter and bland at the same time. But hey, you're going to All In next week?
No, I'm not. I wish. AEW is
okay.
going, though.
All right. Who?
Just AEW.
Oh, okay.
All In is there. I mean, a bunch of my buddies that I was with last night are going.
Okay.
Are you going?
If I do, it's a last minute thing. I mean, I really haven't been watching. The only thing I've been paying attention to is the MJF stuff, really.
It might be worth it, honestly. The card is pretty stacked. It's going to be a fun one, and those pay-per-views live are definitely worth it. Let's get into the comments, though, really quickly. We've got Fernando Zayas, friend of the show here with Good Afternoon WR Crew. He's a little hungover, but here in effect, you know what? I'll make a little admission here, my friend Fernando. I might be nursing a bit of a hangover myself. Bobby Petito's in the comments, though, as well. Hello, everybody. How are you, Bobby? Let's get into last night's SmackDown, though. Right out of the gates here, we've got Drew McIntyre. He's back, the Scottish psychopath, whatever you'd like to call him. And he eats an RKO right out of the gates. He said some things to Randy that, you know, I don't know if you would have said to Randy to his face back in the day. This looked a lot like back in the day. Am I wrong here, Anthony? I'll start with you on this one.
No, I absolutely love this segment because it opened up with Randy essentially saying to Cody, you know, I said I would do anything to get that title, to win the King of the Ring, get the title match. I hesitated. You didn't. It's almost like the mentor protege thing. He goes, I'm proud of you for the killer instinct that I hesitated. You didn't. And, encouraging him to beat Cena. But I won't forget it going forward, which leads you to believe there's going to be more of this Cody Orton feud. Drew's an interesting one because Drew knows how to twist that knife on promos and dig in with opponents. And Randy reminded Drew, I hesitated on kicking his head in because we have a bond from back in the day, big brother, little brother. I got none of that for you. And dropped him with the RKO. Instantly makes that a compelling, I want to see them go at it. And we are going to see it next week, I believe, for Saturday night's main event. That was a smart way to do it. I thought it fit, and it was a good start for the show.
I enjoyed it, too. Here's my only complaint. It does feel a little eerily similar to what we probably were going to get with Kevin Owens, if not for the unfortunate injury.
Probably. I mean, we would have gotten the punt at Mania. That we would have gotten because they kept teasing it. Obviously, it didn't happen, and it is kind of interesting because he hasn't punted anybody, right?
Well, remember, like it was and we don't address the dirt sheets often here, but this is so far, I feel like the statute of limitations were covered on this one.
Yes.
Right? Like so far back, but I mean, back in the day, the whole thing was that the punt got banned at some stage, right? That was the online rumor, right? Can't use the punt anymore. No more pile drivers, and definitely no blading. Ask Batista and Jericho about that one. I'm just saying, right? So the fact that they're teasing the punt coming back, even the stomp at one stage, I believe, was I know calling it the curb stomp. They definitely were like, don't no.
Because that's a legitimate thing. But yes,
we're not going to do that one anymore. But either way, I did enjoy the segment. Ignacio, let me get your thoughts on it too, and then we'll sort of break it all down.
Well, yeah, this was my favorite part of the show, and it was right at the beginning. But to dig a little bit, go a little bit deeper into the whole what Anthony mentioned as far as Randy Orton kind of referencing Cody Rhodes, like, hey, I couldn't do what it took or what it takes to get the title match, to get the win. That way I can face Cena at SummerSlam and face and save the WWE title from extinction, however you want to phrase it. But I think if you look deeper, it's Randy Orton telling Cody Rhodes, hey, you did what it took to win the match, and now you're ready for John Cena, because that's what kept Cody Rhodes from beating John Cena at WrestleMania, is he wasn't willing to go get his hands dirty to beat Cena at WrestleMania, and that's why he's in the position he's in now. But now it's Randy Orton reinforcing the thought in everybody's mind that, hey, Cody Rhodes is ready for John Cena now. Like, he's willing to do what it takes to save the WWE and save the history, and he's our hero, in other words. And that was pretty cool. I thought that's a good reference there. Or if nobody thought of it that way, to me, that's what Randy Orton was trying to inflict in everybody's mind. But it was a good segment, a good exchange. I'm glad Drew McIntyre's back, because that throws another link in the chain. You know, Drew's always waiting at the top for a title match. So I think he's going to be waiting in the wings for whoever it is. If it's Cody Rhodes, he mentioned he would likely face Cody Rhodes if he won the title. If he beat Cena at SummerSlam, and then Drew McIntyre and John Cena would be very interesting to see too. I know it's a heel dynamic, but I'm pretty sure the promos back and forth would be pretty good, because John Cena's doing great promo work. Drew McIntyre's been doing great promo work for 2 years already. So yeah, he's an interesting variable to throw in the loop. He's always at the top of the card. He's always a danger. He's always a thorn in whoever's the champion side. So this is going to be a very interesting dynamic leading up and coming out of SummerSlam. What's going to happen with Drew McIntyre?
I think so for sure. And I found something really interesting. We forget how good the chemistry is between Orton and McIntyre, because I think the majority of the exchanges we've seen between them were during the Thunderdome era. But one of the most overlooked and I feel like underrated matches of that Thunderdome era was the Hell in a Cell match between McIntyre and Orton. I mean, Drew basically took the Shawn Michaels bump off the side of the cage in that match. That was a heck of a slugfest of a match. It took everything in the world, I believe, for Orton to win that title. That was the end sort of the McIntyre run post Mania, if I'm correct, right? Or maybe it was his second title run. I'm sorry, I'm kind of blanking on whether it was the first time he lost the title or the second time, but either way, that was sort of the cap of that babyface run. It is interesting, this dynamic of, I mean, Drew's almost pulling a Karrion Kross in some ways, the devil on Orton's shoulder at this stage. And I don't hate that dynamic either, because it's a little bit flipped.
Drew knows how to get under people's skin and make really compelling feuds. Like, his feud with Punk worked because it was built on a layer of believability, or perception of believability, that there's a locker room that doesn't like Punk. So it kind of works with that stuff. When you're able to blur those lines, and Drew is very believable, incredible when he wrestles or when he cuts promos, and Randy and Drew can bring the best out of one another. If you go Drew and Cena as a possibility, which I don't know, but only because we're going against the clock here for so many more appearances, but I could totally see Cena, if he was cutting a promo, going, the difference between you and I was we were both called chosen ones, but I lived up to it. They fired you. I know they could totally go that route if that's the direction they wanted to go.
Okay, this is really interesting, and I want to ask both of you about this really quick. Even you on this one, Ignacio. I find this an interesting time when it comes to the Cena retirement tour because we're getting closer and closer to the end. Like you said, time is running out. But we're starting to ask for bigger and stronger and badder opponents and bigger and longer matches and things like that. I am not wishing it upon anything, and knock on wood, it hasn't happened yet. What in the world do we do if John Cena gets hurt in one of these matches?
Listen, that's the thing. That was
the way the clock is.
Clark, that was the same problem though, even during the Roman reign, because obviously that's always a danger with this type of thing. But I don't think they're going to push the envelope with Cena. I don't think they're going to risk it.
Maybe until the very, very last minute.
His last match, they'll risk it because they won't care because it'll be done. It'll be like the equivalent of when Cody tore the pec. Like you can't do any more damage. Let's go out. Like it's that type of thing. But he's only got 15 more appearances or something.
Right?
Like that. Isn't that the number? And that's not wrestling. That's appearance.
Well, and even for example, I saw the Braun Breaker as a suggestion elsewhere, and I'm like, that's great. I've heard it a bunch of times, right? Ben said it. A few different people have said it online and whatnot. I'm like, that's an injury waiting to happen. He doesn't want to deal with that, but I do want to ask Ignacio about it, Anthony, as well, by the way.
So absolutely. AJ Styles AJ Styles might be the only other one that's been mentioned because they're both at that crossroads at the end.
AJ's kind of the one you haven't done. If you're going to play the hits like a Billy Joel concert, AJ's kind of the one that's missing. What are your thoughts on it, though, Ignacio? As far as
I think, like, let's say he got.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Cena, what now?
Just as far as like Cena and what's left.
Let's say he got, God forbid, like you said, let's say he got hurt at SummerSlam. I think obviously they'd take the title off him. Either they'd have him drop it or forfeit it or whatever. And then when he got back, let's say it's a shoulder deal or whatever, something that took longer than 6 months. I mean, they would continue the tour when he got back, but this time he'd just come back as a babyface, and wouldn't be as interesting or special as if it would be if he continued on now healthy. That probably would have happened if he got hurt, but and I'm pretty sure they've thought about it. I mean, they're all WWE is a well functioning machine. I'm pretty sure they got a plan B and plan C, lined up.
Yeah, they've got like an alphabet of plans, right? They've got a plan W at the end of the day.
They've always been good at adapting. I think the perfect example, not to drag this out, perfect example. When the WWE crew got stuck in Saudi Arabia and they had a SmackDown, they figured a way, and it was one of the most compelling ones because they pulled in people from NXT and they made it like the Invasion. Remember with Survivor Series was coming up?
Yeah,
they adapted, so they'll adapt if
for sure
something happened.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's talk about some tag team action on the women's side here because we have another match booked for Evolution essentially here. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair qualify for the Evolution tag match. One moment that I just actually cracked up at because of the height difference in the backstage moment where Alexa Bliss tapped her on the head. I'm not gonna lie, that just got me good. It was funny. Like the rest of the storyline, I haven't been super over the top interested in. It's not my favorite thing going in WWE. Alexa and Charlotte aren't my favorite tag team ever. The tap on the top of the head, like, hey, it got me because I didn't expect it, and I didn't. It's almost like you could see Charlotte's face. At first, she like did the classic freeze, like, did she just do that? And then she sort of smiled and said, "I deserve it." Basically, that actually tickled me. It's one of the best interactions between the two, I think, since this has started. But Anthony, I'm going to get your thoughts on it. Absolutely.
It could have been an ad-lib thing. Obviously, the two of them outside of storyline are pretty close from my understanding. So I think that was probably a, wink and nod kind of fun thing for them to do. It's a shame as a whole, Evolution is really not being booked well at all. I mean, the show's next week and, we really don't know what's even going to be on this thing for the most part, which is really doing a disservice to all the women involved. Like instead of this becoming a big thing of, maybe we'll do it annually or something like that. It's come off as we're rushing it. The Charlotte Alexa thing, obviously it's a situation where they're not really sure what to do with either one of them, because you can't just keep putting Charlotte in world title matches. The audience doesn't want that. I don't think they really know what to do with Alexa. I don't think they want to put her with the Wyatts again, because again, that's trying to pan itself out as it is with the members that it has. This is one of those things that the women's tag titles really have not. They've struggled. They've always struggled. I'm not opposed to having them as a team, whether or not that they stay a team to get a tag title reign or eventually feud or do something. It's given them something to do. So I am curious to see where it goes, but that's it. It's nothing that's like, oh, I can't wait to see this. I'm curious, but not overly anticipating stuff, if that makes sense.
I'm kind of in the same boat here, and it's tough because we've talked a lot about the Evolution build this week, and we're getting closer and closer and closer. Like the countdown is on. You know, I made the reference earlier in the week. It's like, you know, the Super Bowl is every year, WrestleMania is every year, the PLEs are every year, the Olympics and the World Cup are every 4 years. That's basically what Evolution is. The fact that it's been treated like just a regular show basically really has bothered me.
The fact that, and I said this to Archie earlier, I don't understand. You have 3 weekly shows plus TNA, if you want to throw that in. You're seriously telling me with all that TV time, you could not put together 4 to 5 matches? One of them is a battle royal. You don't even have to book anything for that. You could just show a graphic. You're seriously telling me you could not put together 4 to 5 matches? Because presumably there's going to be no women's matches on Saturday night's main event the night before. So like the focus is all on Evolution. We don't even know what's on the show for the most part. And then you wonder why. It's like, well, they're struggling with ticket sales.
Right.
This isn't WrestleMania where you could just sell it off the name alone. Like this is something you've only done one other time. That time, the reason it didn't continue was allegedly, from what we've heard over the years, they struggled selling tickets. So like, instead of trying to correct that and giving people a card that like, it's a must see, they're not doing that. And I think it's doing a service to the women involved.
They just stuffed it in Atlanta between Beyonce and MLB All-Star Weekend too, Ignacio, right? I mean, like, what was the thought on that, right? Like,
dude, I commented on something on Facebook or whatever, and I'm sorry, but I'm on the other way. People want to use Beyonce and the playoffs and baseball and all this, anything to excuse the women to say that, oh, woe's me, they're paying too much attention to the men, they don't give us a chance.
See, I don't even think it's that,
they just I'm sorry, the women, they're not a draw like the men are. They'll never be like a draw as a whole like the men are. There's only one talent that comes around every once in a while that captivates the women's division, or two, and then the last one was Becky Lynch and the man storyline. But other than that, it's just like they can't survive without the men. They can book this thing 3 months in advance, and it still wouldn't be appealing as it would with a card with the men on it.
I think you could have stacked this and made it one of the biggest, most special shows of the year. I actually disagree with that, Ignacio, but I do think so. I understand where you're coming from. Either way, though, we do have a lot more to talk about today, and let me go ahead and let's pay some bills real quick, my friends. Let's talk about our friends over at, well, which one? I clicked the wrong one. The Etsy app. Download the Etsy app. It's over on the App Store, the Google Play Store, and head over to the upcoming streams section. Here's the best part about this. Not only is it absolutely free, but if you've got a cell phone with a microphone and a camera on it, you can join. It's me and you. You're going to get Cam Takes, the man, the myth, the legend. Occasionally you'll get a Ben Allison on there, but you never know. If you want to argue with me about Cody Rhodes, John Cena, whatever you'd like, just make sure you turn on your microphone. You don't even have to turn on your camera if you don't want to show your face. But if you do, pack a lunch. It's going to be a long argument and a long day, but it is absolutely free. And go ahead and download it because it's available on whichever app store you have, on whichever phone you have. But let's keep today's show on track, my friends. Let's talk about Jacob Fatu teaming up with Jimmy Uso to take on the artist formerly known as Jeff Cobb, JC Mateo. You think that's what the JC stands for? Shoot. As well as Solo Sikoa. In tag action, Ignacio, break this one down for me, my friend.
Man, this was just a show with a lot of kind of irrelevant tag matches. This is just kind of trying to get us, I guess. We're trying to get to the next level of the storyline with Jacob and Solo. And let me tell you this, I really do like Solo as the champion. Like, because he's kind of like that, because because it puts more focus on the title. Because now it's kind of like, all right, we're getting away, we're trying to get away from the whole bloodline, because it's not the bloodline anymore, right? It's kind of watered down now. So I wish they would kind of find a way to try to go away from the inter-family feud deal, and I think that's what they're trying to do. What they need to put the focus on is the title, and Solo having the title and completing his faction. Now the primary objective is saving the title and keeping Solo champion. It's like and I'm not comparing Flair and Solo as equals. I'm just saying the dynamic. Flair was good enough to defend the title and be on his own and be okay, but he had the Horsemen to make sure that they preserve the title, because the title is power. So with them with the main focus being, we need to keep Solo as champion because that gives us power within the company, and Solo surrounding himself with all these monsters like Jeff Cobb and Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga and Tala and all these guys. Their main objective now is to protect the title, to protect Solo, because he's our leader, and we need to preserve the title because the title is power. And now Jacob Fatu, that side of the storyline is, well, the revenge factor, and now Jimmy Uso is joining in the fun. Now everybody's primary focus, so we can try to get away from this, inter-family feud, should be somebody got to take the title off of Solo. Like, that's going to make the U.S. title kind of important again, is that it's the way they treat it. And I think that's what they need to focus on. Not so much the family feud, that we need to get Solo out of power, because him with these guys around him, these monsters around him, he is a threat. So we got to take the title off him to get the power away from him. And I think that's what the main focus should be.
And I agree. Here's my problem. They took it off the guy that can do that, and that's Jacob Fatu.
Well, no, I think Solo can. I think it's better that Solo, because Solo's kind of like everybody knows, he has heat because everybody's like, this guy shouldn't be champion. It's like when Honky Tonk Man was the Intercontinental Champion. It's
yeah.
He shouldn't be champion, because he can't beat Macho Man. He can't beat Ricky Steamboat. He can't beat the Ultimate Warrior, et cetera, et cetera. He always has to use antics and people around him to hold the title.
Yeah, it's like the false idol thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, like he views himself as bigger than what he really is. I hear you there. Actually, that makes a ton of sense, because that's my thing is, when Fatu won the U.S. title, since the Rumble, and a little bit before that, though, when I saw Fatu's Rumble entrance there, and you were at the same show, dude,
yeah.
All I thought was, I was like, I knew he had the potential and a high ceiling and all of that. Like, this guy is closer to being a star now than I realized. Like a super, like he's one big storyline away, I think, from elevating to the stratosphere. People are repeating, right? We talk how great it is when everyone does the LA Knight stuff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
All gas, no brakes is over. Yada Dameen is over. All of everything he does is over. And I love it's all Bay Area hip hop right now. It's classic, like, slang there. Everyone steals our slang. E40, right? Sorry, that's, if there's any hip hop heads in the audience, I hope you get that reference, because I know neither of my co-hosts did. But either way, the point is, Jacob Fatu is as over as all over. Solo getting the victory over him and the false idol storyline, I really do actually enjoy that, because he did just steal it, right?
Yeah.
It is always the smart move, the babyface chasing the heel. That's typically the go-to. Other than the Hogan run, it's usually the babyface chasing the heel. It's a smart move with this because, like you said, Jacob is a future world champion. There is no question. However, he can't take the world title now because Cena's got it, and they're obviously going the Cody route with that, probably. So, all right. So unless you move him to go against Gunther on Raw. If you're leading him for the WWE Championship, that road's closed right now.
Right.
But you can obviously go that direction with him trying to get the belt back from Solo at the moment, and the group is thwarting him. And when he takes out that whole group, probably single-handedly, that makes Jacob look even better,
right,
than if he took the Cena.
I also think there's a route down the road, given like everything we've got sort of going on. If we're zooming out, right?
Yes.
Seth Rollins, the idea of him eventually winning, likely the world heavyweight title.
Yes.
With that briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
A rivalry between him and Jacob Fatu. I mentioned, I think he's one great one away from the stratosphere. That I think is where.
Well, remember, Clark, not to cut you off. Yeah. They have teased this multiple times, Jacob and Braun Breaker. They've gotten close. They've stared each other down. The Rumble, they got close. They never touched. That is the whole thing. Like, that's the money match right there.
I think so, too.
You know what I mean?
I think it's outstanding. I love it. But let's get on to our main event of this afternoon here for me. We got Jade Cargill and Naomi. We got more tag action here. Versus Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton. That is a tongue twister, man. At Evolution. I loved when they wore the Maple Leafs jerseys, Trish and Tiffy. I like the partnership. I like the idea of the mentorship. I think that's really cool because I think Tiffany early in her career sort of got a bad rap. I don't know if you remember, she appeared on a show on Busted Open Radio and didn't know who Bubba Ray Dudley was. Didn't know who Bully Ray was. So she got a bad rap for not necessarily doing her history. So to have sort of a
only the most decorated tag team champion of all time. But yes.
So to have sort of more a mentor figure as far as on in Trish Stratus, who's a complete Hall of Famer, right? Like a first ballot. We know Trish is a trailblazer here. I think that's just good for Tiffany Stratton in the future. The idea that Tiffany and Trish basically did tag together in the past, don't get along now. It's like a 2-for-1 special. You can really bring her along and she's forever tied to Trish Stratus. Jade and Naomi, that should have been booked months ago. I said Jade and Naomi, and I meant versus anyway. Obviously, everyone knows that one. But my point is, I was unaware of the fact that this was not booked. Like, if there was ever a telegraphed match that was booked, if there was ever one that should be on the Evolution card, Jade and Naomi, they've built probably the longest storyline in the women's division on any show on WWE programming. So I was not shocked about that one. I had it on my bingo card, but I'm going to go to you first, Ignacio, about both of these matches that are set for Evolution and get your thoughts.
Dude, I'm just kind of like, I'm not excited. I'm not excited about this pay-per-view. I'm not excited about this part of the women's division. I mean, it's it's just not very interesting right now. And it hasn't been in a while. Like I said, it goes back to what I said before. I don't think Tiffany Stratton was ready. I don't think Jade Cargill's ready. I'm not interested in seeing Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam. I think it's a waste of talent and a waste of time. Trish Stratus back for Evolution. I mean, okay, great. They're going to have an okay match. You know, Trish can't do what she did 25 years ago or whatever. So she's going to do the bare minimum to get by or what she can do. And then, you know, Jade Cargill and Naomi, yeah, they had a great feud. They had an okay match at WrestleMania, but it's just kind of, like I said, I'm not too excited about the card, and I'm not too excited about the people involved. I think the only intriguing thing about the women's division is Rhea Ripley and her quest to her get the title back, and everything else is just, you know, cannon fodder or smoke and mirrors or you know, trying to find its way. This division's really hurting without really the main focus of what's been the women's division for the past 10 years. The 4 horsewomen it's really hurting. And with the exception of Rhea Ripley, look, it's just, to me, it's just not interesting. It's not compelling TV. I think they're hurting. I think they need some help from I know they brought up Roxanne, and Raquel Gonzalez is trying to find her way, but these are women that are up and coming, and maybe in a year and a half, they're not ready to take the top spot. So I think the women's division as a whole is in a downturn or in a rough spot, in a rough patch. And maybe within a year and a half, 2 years, it'll be different. But without Rhea Ripley being the focus point of the main event and having the title, I just they're struggling. And, I don't think Tiffany Stratton's the answer. I'm hoping they save Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for WrestleMania. I mean, that's something I'd like to see. That's something I wish they would do now. But if they're waiting for WrestleMania, then maybe that's where they're headed, and that's a good idea. But other than that, it's the women's division. It's very disappointing. What can I say? It might be an unpopular opinion. I know a lot of guys think otherwise, but me, I don't care. It's very.
I know you, Ignacio. No doubt. We've already got Antonio Wilson in the comments. You sound like a hater, especially saying Trish can't do what she did in the ring in the past. Booking's not good. You
can't.
Yeah,
but also, look. I'm real quick. I'll give Trish this. Is that, and this is going back to what I mentioned before we got on the show. Is that Trish was what they needed. Her and Lita were what they needed in a time when they were trying to get away from the panties and bras and all that stuff. And I hold her at very high regard. And then they transitioned to I don't know. We're more focused on reality TV and the Divas search and the Divas era and all this stuff. And this goes back to the comment that Ben made last week, how the Divas. Totally Divas was so instrumental in the women's division and this and like that. Like, we shouldn't say stuff like that because it's not true. It's a matter of fact, I would say it's embarrassing to say that because the genre of fans that watch Totally Divas did not watch Bayley and Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch and Mercedes Moné knock the house down in NXT and knock the house down at WrestleMania 32. I'm sorry. Those fans, they did not correlate. No, it wasn't Totally Divas that brought the women's revolution to light. No matter how much credit you want to give Brie Bella, or Nikki Bella, that's not true. Every time she opens her mouth, she embarrasses herself. Like that's
tells how you really feel, Ignacio. Shoot, but either way, back to the two matches we have booked: Jade and Naomi, then Tiffany versus Trish. At Evolution, 2 separate singles matches. Obviously, yes, Universal. I am aware of that. That is a mistake I accidentally said, and too early. Yep. Things happen here. We're live broadcasting, my friend. I was doing my best. But at the end of the day, I do also have to ask Anthony about this one. That's a tough one to follow a little bit, Ant, but I know if anyone can, it's our head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. What are your thoughts on these two matches? And maybe we'll do predictions for both at the end. How about that one?
I always enjoy doing this show with Ignacio because I'm guaranteed not to be the most controversial person on here. Because I know I piss people off, and I know you do too, Clark. So it's always kind of fun when we're not the most. No, out of this, I do want to say no one could do what they could do 25 years ago. Whether it's Trish or whoever, none of us could do what we did 25 years ago. But I absolutely think Trish is in good enough shape and she could pull off a decent match with Tiffany. Likely she's putting Tiffany over because I don't think Trish is having that one last run with a title. I mean, she could. I did find it interesting. She said, her kids have never seen her with a women's title. Technically, I guess the tag titles don't count, according to her. But I think I would not be opposed if Trish won it one last time. I know Shad would get very angry about that, but I gotta be honest, I wouldn't be opposed to it because I don't think the Tiffany run has been that spectacular, but she did beat Charlotte. So her beating Charlotte at Mania, her beating Trish would probably be a smart move if you want to build her up. Jade and Naomi, the only match so far on this Evolution card that actually has a story behind it. Congrats on that one. She put her through a windshield, allegedly. I would still hope that it could have been Bianca behind the whole thing if that gets revealed somewhere down the road, because I don't know. But Naomi's doing a great run as a heel. I love the caution tape Money in the Bank briefcase. This is a feud that honestly Jade won at Mania. So and I think that was Jade's best singles match in WWE and probably ever anyway, because people forget how green she was when she went to WWE. So I was a little surprised that the feud kind of died down after Mania, and now it's heading back up. If they're going best of 3 with this thing, in theory, since Naomi is the Money in the Bank holder, she's probably going to be the one that beats Jade in this, so that the series is 1-1. Whether or not it goes further, it would probably be great if Naomi went to go cash in and Jade stopped her. Because then you can continue the feud. You put me through a windshield, took months off of my career, and you think you're going to cash in successfully? No. So I think you could bridge out of that and have a successful feud continue with that, because you need to keep escalating. That's the only way to keep this thing alive and people interested.
To your point, I'm wondering if they don't go rubber match for the Money in the Bank briefcase and have her retain it. Have Naomi retain it. That if you're gonna have her win the series, then win the rubber match.
Here's the thing. Now, if
she's got to win 2 in a row, but
if she wins the Money in the Bank briefcase from Naomi, let's just say, regardless of what happens, the other one should cost during the cash in to keep the feud going.
Absolutely, 100%. We do have a comment though here that I have to read, because Haley was the ultimate party host last night, but I know that this might not be Haley on the account. Just excited for Goldberg to get his title back. Thanks a lot, Blake. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we need to block her. Can you block her?
No, yeah. Haley's the best. I wanted to shout out Haley. Blake, great guy too, but
I
shout out Arkansas.
I don't want to disappoint, but I don't think Goldberg gets it in his last match. Although he could surprise us. It would shock everybody, because no one expected him to win the way he did against Brock when he came back at that Survivor Series match. So would they shock people?
Yeah.
I won't put it past them, honestly.
All right, so if we're going quick fire predictions here for Jade versus Naomi, I am going to take Naomi in that one as well. I believe you basically just did with your take Naomi, there, Anthony. Are you going Naomi, or are you going to go with Jade to go up 2-0 on Naomi, Ignacio?
No, I'll go Jade. Yeah, Jade.
So you are going to go with Jade. Okay.
Going. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, also, I think because of the briefcase, that is a possibility. This one isn't the most predictable outcome.
She probably is going to use the briefcase on her to win it.
Right.
Probably.
Absolutely. For Tiffany and Trish, this one to me is a no-brainer. Obviously, I am going to go with Stratton, but I think Stratus is as close as you could ask. What about you, Ignacio? What do you think on this one? Tiffany and Trish.
I'll go with no, yeah, it's definitely going to be Tiffany, and I think afterwards they'll lock her up for elder abuse.
prettiest moonsault ever. Chris Leclerc has Cargill as well, and then Leclerc has Tiffany as well. Anthony, are you going to break the tie? Is it going to be Trishy?
Honestly, I'd rather be Stratisfied, but it's probably Tiffany time.
Yeah, it's Tiffy time. No doubt about it. Just another Tiffy Tuesday. Shout out to Shad for that one. Before we go here, though, what a week we have coming up here in professional wrestling between All In, Evolution, Saturday Night's Main Event. The amount of programming we've got coming up in the middle of July 2025 is just off the charts. I'm super fired up about it. Right before we go, let's go with what are you looking forward to most this week? I'll start with you, Ignacio.
Well, I'm just looking to see how bad Gunther's going to pulverize Goldberg, to see how they're going to pull that off. But like I said, nothing surprises me anymore. Like if Goldberg speared, Gunther and then took the title, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. Nothing in this industry should surprise anybody anymore. Like if he took the title. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Drew and Randy Orton. Yeah, I think that's going to be very good. I don't think it's going to be the end of their feud. I think it's going to be something to build up to come. I think this is going to be a long-term feud. Like we're talking 2-3 months, 4 months or whatever.
Absolutely. Okay. Anthony, how about you? What are you looking forward to most this weekend?
I think probably it might be All In. But at the end of the day, I know everyone's going, oh, well, they're counter programming, they're fighting. I'm like, we win. As fans, we win. It's more wrestling for us to watch. I'm not opposed to the amount of wrestling that takes place. Maple Leaf Pro's doing a show tonight, the 20th, the TNA has Slammiversary. We got a lot of stuff coming up, and as wrestling fans, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. I'm fired up as well. And for myself, I'm going with give me that Texas death match. Moxley and Hangman in Dallas. They got the right matchup here. I love Will Ospreay, and I understand there were a lot of calls for that to be the match at All In. I get it. For me, that's the match I'm looking most forward to. Besides one other. Timeless Tony Storm is in action as well. Mercedes Moné, that rivalry between those two matches, I'm going with All In as well. But man, is it going to be a heck of a week to be a pro wrestling fan. And thank you sincerely, every single person that tuned in on behalf of me and Anthony and Ignacio. We appreciate it so much. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, that helps us out a ton. We really appreciate it if you would. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow for Sunday Fun Day. We're going to have a fun game lined up for y'all. It's going to be awesome. That's, of course, going to be at noon Pacific. That's 3 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 o'clock over in the UK, and 9 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great Saturday, and we will talk to you soon.